Okay, today we're going to be looking at section 10.2, graphing linear equations into variables. So now we have an equation with x and y in it. Okay, so there's some vocabulary terms that you need to be familiar with. We're going to graph horizontal and vertical lines, graph equations by finding x and y intercepts, and then we're going to graph by plotting points on the line. So first, we want you to see that general form of an equation, and this is slope-intercept form, is y equals some number, which is the slope times that variable x plus or minus that y-intercept. They talk about the solution set, which is given an x, you can find a y. So if I plug in any value for x and solve this equation, I will get a y value. There's an infinite number of points. So down here they just kind of show you a few. Any number that they plug it in for x in that equation, and they get a y value out, and they get ordered pairs. Okay, so an equation here can also be represented by a table. Okay, a second representation can also be represented by a graph. So there's three ways to represent that same set of data. So that equation, those points we just made from the table make this graph. So this is standard form. Okay, so up here, I'm sorry, I skipped a few terms. We have an ordered pair, kind of talked about that in 10.1. Point just any ordered pair that you put on the graph, equation. Here we have standard form. You might want to be careful. This definition seems a bit vague. You have ax plus by equals c. So x and y are on the same side, and the constants on the other side. Namely, a, b, and c are integers. It says real numbers, but they should be whole numbers, integers, positive or negative. More so, this a value needs to be positive always, and then this is called standard form. Sometimes a or b could be 0, so you'll be left with just y in the equation. Or if b was 0, you'd just be left with x. And either one could be 0, but not both. But this is called standard form. Okay, so here's what they're talking about graphing. Basically what this is saying is that you need 2 points, 2 ordered pairs, and then you can plot those on the graph, draw a line through them. You can kind of go over that, which we'll do it in practice in Hawk. But you need 2 points, plot them, draw a line through them, and then you can check a third point from the equation. So here's some examples that they're showing. Let's skip over these. Okay, so graphing with x and y intercept, this is important. Namely, when we want to find the y-intercept. Okay, x is going to be 0, and here's the ordered pair. X is 0, you get y as some number. If you want to find the x-intercept, okay, it's going to be just the opposite. Y is going to be 0, and then x is going to be some number. So that ordered pair is x comma 0. Be careful not to mix those up. Okay, x goes first, y goes second, and whenever you're finding either intercept, the other term is going to be 0. Those intercepts are the points where they cross either the x-axis or y-axis, and it's just kind of telling you you're going to plug in 0 to the equation, solve for y, plug in 0, or solve for x. And then you'll get those 2 points, and then just draw a line between them. Okay, so they also have a few examples showing you how that works. And we'll do a few. And then we have graphing horizontal and vertical lines. So a horizontal line is going to be y equals whatever that number is. For example, they're giving me 4. That means y is going to be 4. X will be changing. A y equals equation, again, is going to be a horizontal line, and it's going to only cross the y-axis. Okay, so that kind of helps me remember. If it's a y equals, it crosses the y-axis, and that's it, at that number. And in the same way, so you see this horizontal line crossing at 4, you get different values for x. X is 3, x is 5, x is negative 3. X can be anything, just so long as the second coordinate is 4 every time. That's why it's described y equals 4. Similarly, we have vertical line, so that will be x equals some number. So they show you the standard form. This time, the b was 0. You end up with the vertical line. X equals negative 2 because it crosses the x-axis only at negative 2. And it'll be a vertical line straight up and down crossing the x-axis. And as you would notice, all of the x values here are going to be negative 2. Y value could be anything that you like as long as x is negative 2. Okay, so with that, we'll jump into Hawks and do a few examples.